We now cross to SABC News reporter Hasina Gori, who's at the home of the late former minister. Hasina, I'm certain the mood has remained somber throughout all of today. Just talk us through some of the mourners you were able to interview, just exactly what they had to say about the late minister.
Good afternoon, and as you mentioned, quite a somber afternoon and day here. There's been a steady stream of mourners, family members, colleagues and members of the political party which Pravin Gordhan was part of, who have come to pay their condolences since he passed on in the early hours of this morning, succumbing to his battle with cancer. We heard from the family saying that he passed on alongside his family members and close colleagues in his sleep in the early hours of this morning. What we saw throughout the day was various groups of family members really asking for their privacy when they were coming in, as they came to commiserate, to give condolences. But we also saw quite a large number of those from the ANC, the Secretary General, who we spoke to just a little while ago, alongside the Gauteng government officials, that's including the Premier, the acting spokesperson, the provincial chair, all coming and just giving support to the family who needs their hand held at this time, needs their grief to be heard at this time. For a family man, but also a man who gave much of his life to the struggle, almost 50 years as an activist, serving from as young as a youth activist all the way through post-democracy. We heard from the SG saying that Pravin Gordhan was someone who showed up when he was called to in various different roles, really a person who was trustworthy, critical, and someone who stood strong in his resolve. But I want to bring in a former minister who worked with Pravin Gordhan, a friend, a colleague. You've known him throughout his different roles, and we know him as, our finance minister, the South African Revenue Services Commissioner. But as a friend, as a person, as an activist, how was Pravin Gordhan PG? How did you know him?
I saw the enormous humanity of the man in 2009, with the country suffering from the need to address HIV, AIDS, and Pravin comes into office, and officials tell him there's no money for an antiretroviral program, and he just finds the courage to say, find the money. I saw him in 2021 during the July unrest in KwaZulu-Natal. The country ravaged, buildings on fire, supply chains broken. And while we're standing and sorting out all of this, Pravin is the man who wants to make sure that there's food for everybody. So he's on his phone. He's on his phone and he's sorting out food for the group of members of cabinet that's addressing this. And I remember him as a young Pravin Gordhan. I first met him 44 years ago in 1980, when he was a community organizer, going from door to door, dealing with the problems of high rents and the challenges of poor public transport, and mobilizing communities around it. So these are fond memories. And then, of course, when we traveled together, I saw another part of him, the family man, the man who just loved his wife Vani and his two daughters enormously, and would be attentive to the needs of friends and colleagues. So there was that warm, wonderful human being who also left an amazing legacy in this country. 50 years of activism, his role in the writing of the Constitution, and in generating the resources to build clinics and houses and schools, the very things that the young man fought as an activist in the 1970s. Later on, as Commissioner of SARS and as Minister of Finance, he would help to find the money to ensure that those services are made available to South Africans. A wonderful man, a great leader, and someone who's left his mark honor history.
And you've echoed what we've heard from many people today. Truly a tremendous legacy that will be remembered as we go forward. Thank you so much for sharing with us, Minister Ibrahim Patel. I want to bring in the ANC Youth League's president here as the youth of the country. You know, we heard the legacy that he left behind, what Pravin Gordhan has worked on. But as we go forward, we look forward. We're in a government of national unity at province, at national level. What are some of the lessons the youth can take as they look forward to the baton being handed over to them when they look at someone as PG?
The lessons that we take from the generation of Comrade PG is that during difficult days of mass mobilizations, utilizing the UDF, they're able to mobilize society from different racial groups and corners to fight against the system of apartheid, and that's a serious lesson. And you know, as we are preparing to have our national dialogue, and those are some of the things that we must revive. And so that society, as you can see now, society is divided according to racial groups now. You know, where there are people who are separated according to their colors, Indians, whites, and all of that. And we need to revive the non-racial character of the African National Congress. And it's what we always say in our meetings of the Youth League, that we must be a reflection of South Africa that we are in, even in our own meetings and everywhere else. And we've learned that, but we must have courage and be bold. But also what we have learned is PG that has been outspoken against corruption and the fight for the renewal of the African National Congress, to clean it from everything that is associated with that is wrong. The PGC that is brave and stands for what it believes in. I've differed with him a lot on many other issues, including the SAA stance when the Youth League were anti-privatization. He stood by his views, we stood by our views, but he allowed the dialogue and differences, and he never said that because we stand against his views, then we're not supposed to be listened to. Now the debate was allowed. Now that is the generation that we want to have. We want to have a society that is united behind the program of a nation-building agenda.
Thank you so much. As the ANC Youth League's President Colin speaking to us here, really reflecting on the legacy of the Pravin Gordhan, the minister, the statesman, the activist, the family man as well, but also really speaking on what we can take from his life, from his memories, and looking forward when we charter a new way and look forward into the future of South Africa, really taking from this giant of a man. It's been a somber and emotional day here, but also a day of hope and a reflection of a man that really gave 50 years of his life in service of this country.
Hasina, thank you very much for that reportage. We'll touch base in later bulletins. That's SABC News reporter Hasina Gori, who's been stationed at the home of the late Minister Pravin Gordhan, who passed away today at age 75.